learning German. Is it worth it? Are there any benefits? Or is it only good for catching Germans talking bad about people when they don't realize they speak German? Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany and sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. We get asked more times than you would expect about whether or not someone really needs to be able to speak German in order to move to Germany and make it. Talk to different people and you'll get different answers. Some who say you 100% need to be able to speak German, and some who say you can get by with just speaking English. Some may even say if you can get by with English, you definitely still should learn German out of respect for the country you are living in, or to better be able to actually connect with the local culture. No matter what you may think, I am going to share some of the ways in which we have benefited personally from learning German today in our video. Learning Deutsch is a choice in which I rejoice. As I have mentioned in other videos, about 70% of our audience are Germans, and only about 9% of our audience are from native English-speaking countries. So I'm assuming that a vast majority of you guys are watching this video and English is actually a second or a third language to you. Because of that, I would really be interested in knowing if you have experienced the same benefits that I am experiencing with speaking German with whatever other foreign languages you have learned. So let me know your thoughts on what I talk about today in the comments below. So, how American am I if we start talking about the benefits of learning a language by talking about money? But of course, one big benefit for a lot of people learning a foreign language is greater earning potential in a career or a competitive advantage over other job seekers that may only speak one language or something. So what about us personally? Well, I certainly have not been receiving huge checks in the mail just because I now speak a little bit of German, but I have benefited a little bit professionally for speaking German. Of course, everybody knows that YouTubers can earn money from video sponsorships, and I can say that I have made some partnerships with German brands in which we only spoke in German when we were discussing business. Of course, this makes sense considering I am making videos in Germany about Germany, and often brands we partner with are also German, but according to inverse.com, in the USA, in terms of which foreign languages can earn someone the most extra money, top of the list in terms of earning potential was German. However, German isn't the most in-demand language, and inverse.com later explained that German only ranks 5th in languages with the highest demand in the US. Now, in Aubrey's case, her job in Germany has her just speaking 100% in English, but even though she maybe hasn't financially gained from learning a little bit of German, she certainly hasn't lost any money from learning a new language. For example, to help her learn German, she has used Lingoda for a few years. Lingoda has actually increased her earning potential and hasn't really costed her any money by learning with one of their sprint challenges. Basically, Lingoda will give all of her money back if she simply just goes to 30 lessons a month for 2 months with their super sprint challenge. Or if Aubrey does their sprint challenge and attends 15 lessons a month for 2 months, she receives 50% of her money back. And by the way, if you are wanting to work on your foreign language skills, we definitely would highly encourage you to check this out. In fact, we even have a discount code and link to Lingoda's site in the description below if you guys would like to check them out. I feel like I need to establish my proficiency in German so you can better understand where I am coming from, especially since I just claim to be doing some business in a foreign language. So real quick, if you aren't familiar with CEF, this stands for Common European Framework of Reference, and it is the standard for gauging someone's skill in a language. There are 6 levels ranging from A1 to C2, with A1 being an absolute beginner in a language and C2 being a highly proficient fluent speaker. Most native speakers of a language would fall in either the C1, or if they are well educated, they would fall under C2. These levels are used as a standard for a multitude of things, like, for example, to gain German citizenship, one must be able to prove that they have German language skills equivalent to a B1 level. Often, this proof comes in the form of certificates from an authority that has tested your language knowledge. I have showed you guys my certificate that I received after successfully passing my German B1 exam, and in Aubrey's case, learning with Lingoda, she is able to receive certificates from Lingoda upon completion of 90% of the classes in one language level that is accepted by various institutions to prove her language level, which is something that not all language schools or apps apps can offer, which is a great benefit to her. But with being able to prove the levels we are at, and since I have already achieved B1 German, this means that I technically could benefit from gaining German citizenship with the level of German that I currently am at. Of course, as long as I meet the other non-language requirements as well. But getting dual German and American citizenship, as long as the German government passes a law allowing more flexibility for dual citizenship like they plan on doing, would mean that I would have an EU passport that allows freer movement throughout the EU, much easier than the way it is now with my American passport, among many other great benefits. Real quick guys, I wanted to take a moment to thank all of our patrons over on Patreon for supporting our channel. What you guys do is such a huge support to our channel, and I want you to know that I appreciate it. Also, if all of you watching would take a moment to hit those like and subscribe buttons and leave a comment about what you're enjoying in this video, it would mean a lot. Now back to the video. As we all know, the lingua franca for the world currently is English, and therefore we often can travel around the world and have very few problems communicating, as people all over the world often learn or speak a little bit of English. However, after moving to Germany, I've had the exciting experience of meeting many other foreigners who speak their native language and German, but no English at all. In 2020, DW reported that German is required in about 40% of all schools in Russia, and there were about 1.8 million Russians learning German. Also, nearly 1 out of 2 Mexicans learn German at university, and Poland has the most people learning German at nearly 2 million. So learning German has given me access to some of these cultures that I have never had before, because I am now able to communicate with someone from those cultures when we don't share English as a common language. For example, when we very first moved here and I hadn't learned next to any German yet, I met a guy and very naively asked him in English, "Hi, where are you from?" He just looked at me and responded, no English. And we figured out that he spoke Russian and Turkmen, as he was from Turkmenistan. This was a guy that I would end up seeing every day for about 6 months, and every day we would just say hello to one another, and that was it. Eventually, we both had to learn enough German that after having known each other for 6 months, we actually got to talk to each other and actually get to know one another, as we finally had a common language. We then would get coffee, and I learned a lot about the country and culture of Turkmenistan that I may never would have been able to have connected with before on such a personal level. This is something that Aubrey has also noticed in some of her online language lessons with Lingoda, because they offer classes 24/7 around the world. Since this is the case, she is often in classes where the 3 to 5 other people may be from other countries and don't speak English. But she gets to practice the language she is learning as the common language to get to know the other students. After moving to Germany, one thing that I realized I miss doing, which really is very socially unacceptable, but is eavesdropping. It isn't so much that I missed being able to creep on people's conversations around me, but rather I just missed understanding what was going on around me. It really is a strange feeling, almost like you are in some sort of a bubble when you walk around or sit on a train and you don't understand anything anybody is saying around you. However, now that I have a basic grasp of the language, eavesdropping is not really a big problem for me, unless I'm sitting in a room full of Germans speaking a unique dialect, which does happen quite a bit here locally. Then in that case, I still won't understand anything. Many of you may also have seen the trend on YouTube of videos where foreigners go to a country where they aren't expected to know the language, and they are able to catch the locals talking bad about them in their local language. This was one thing that I was very excited about doing after learning German and living in Germany. I was kind of hoping I could be like a covert spy and catch Germans possibly speaking bad about us Americans sitting next to them on the train without them knowing that I knew what they were saying. However, I have to disappointingly admit that my eavesdropping has not proven successful in this way, as I have not caught anybody talking about us without them knowing I understand them. Well, I guess that I should actually be happy that I haven't had people talking poorly about us, but let me know, have any of you had that experience and caught people talking about you in a language that they didn't expect you actually knew? These days, we seem to hear the phrase fake news a lot. And by the way, for our American viewers, this is also a phrase that Germans have adopted and now use in their daily language as well.
Doch warum werden Fake News eigentlich verbreitet? Fake News sollen Stimmung machen.
Wie gefährlich sind solche Fake News? Präsident geworden ist. Sein Geschäft, Fake News, also Nachrichten, die frei erfunden sind.
So of course, one of the best things we can do is ignore all media. Well, or just try and get news from multiple sources and angles to piece together what is the truth. And one thing that I definitely feel like I have benefited from learning German is that now I have a whole new source of media that I can listen to that offers a different angle or perspective to help further flesh out a news story for me. So for example, one could use the website allsides.com that literally puts news stories on the same topic from different media outlets side by side, so you can see how different leaning news sources are explaining a subject. But now I can also add in German news sources to see how an entirely different culture and country is reporting on a news story. Overall, what I have found is that this has helped in particular in some of the bigger hitting international news stories that affect both the US and Germany, because although the news in the US may lean heavily Democrat or Republican, they still often are both coming from an American-centric voice. And by being able to understand German news sources, I can hear a totally different culture's perspective on a subject that has different motives, values, or levels of dramatization. And finally, one way that I have benefited from learning German actually kind of goes along with being able to eavesdrop in a way, and that is being able to understand German in movies that I watch. As many of you know, I am a huge World War II history buff, and I love a good World War II movie. All my life, I've grown up watching different war movies and hearing German being spoken, and sure, most of the time they have subtitles for those parts, but I have always had this thought in the back of my head: do these actors actually learn German lines in German, or are they just making up German because they know most of us don't understand it anyways? Of course, this is a silly thought, and I figure they really are truly speaking real German, and nowadays a lot of Germans in movies are played by real German-speaking actors. But it has been a lot of fun being able to now watch these movies and understand the German parts of the film, and then be able to lean over to my non-German speaking family or friends and confirm that they are speaking true German in the movie, and then translate what they said, even though they already read the subtitles. I know that they love it too when I do this. To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is Munich or Berlin? If you had to move permanently to one, which one would you choose? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you in our next video. Check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2 check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2 check. Check, 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 check. This is going really well. I know that they love when I do this too.